Welcome, welcome, welcome to the season of clarity. Welcome to the season of clarity, where we're here to do three things. You know what time it is. We're here to uplift, educate, and elevate. So at this point of time, I want you to hit that share button. I want you to tag everybody that you care about, everybody that you know that's connected to you, that's looking to go to the next level. Everybody that you know that you want to sow a seed of inspiration into. All right? We're going to get started here in just a few moments. Get started here in just a few moments. Tonight we're going to be talking about surviving Saul's leadership. And for most of you who may not be familiar with who Saul is, Saul in this instance or this example tonight is going to represent a style of leadership that I believe that could be ineffective, but we can extract some principles from it and we can learn from it, obviously, and we can get to the next level with it, baby. Let's go. Let's go. So you may be familiar with this story, man. You know, obviously, if you look in the book of 1 Samuel, I believe it's in chapter 16, where Samuel, this was a prophet in the book of the Bible, and he was a prophet ordained by God, all right, to anoint the next king, all right. Now, the crazy thing about this is that when Saul was in leadership, there was a few things that he did that disqualified him, that disqualified him from continuing to have that level of authority. So tonight we're going to be talking about surviving Saul's leadership. We're going to be talking about the leadership style of David. Like I said last week, we're going to really hone in on leadership, development, management, even just in your personal life. If you're looking to lead your family to the next level, if you're looking to lead your organization to the next level, if you are even looking to take your wife, your children to the next level, this is going to be for you. But I want to really talk to those who have been overlooked. I want to talk to those who may have been misunderstood. I want to talk to those who've been criticized, ostracized. All right? I want to talk to you. This is actually in particular to an example of David and how David kind of worked himself up the ranks and he went through a process of rejection. And I know that most of you out there who felt rejection, most of you out there who have been overlooked, most of you who are out there who have been ostracized, majority of the time is because you have been called by God. As a matter of fact, in most cases, when you're trying to fit in, God is trying to fit you out. Did you hear me this now? And most of the time, God, when you are trying to fit in, God is trying to fit you out. Meaning that when you are trying to position yourself to fit in with a certain crowd, God is saying, listen, it's not congruent. It doesn't fit because I have another way. I have another path. I have another structure for your life. And I can't allow you, right, to contaminate my purpose with your personal desire. So when you look at the life of David, David was an individual who was after God's own heart, meaning that he was in the field doing the work. Now, I want to do a comparison between the two styles of leadership, right? We have Saul, right, where the people wanted. Let me give you guys a backstory. So before there was a king, right, for the people of Israel, there were judges, right? And there was a prophet who was the mediator between God and them. Well, at this point in time, the people said, man, listen, we want a king just like every other nation. So God said, okay, Samuel, listen, I know you may be in grief. I know they may not be agreeing with you, but heed to their word, right? Heed to their word, because as they were disobedient, they may have forgot that I've delivered them from so many things. So heed to them. If they want a king, let me give them a king. So then Samuel said, okay, I have a guy that's handsome. I have a guy that's tall in stature. I have a guy that fits that role. And I know for most of you who have been ostracized, I know for most of you who have been criticized, I know for most of you who have been overlooked, most of you who have been talked about, backstabbed, you may feel that there are others who qualify more than you. But I want you to pay attention to the end of this video, because you're going to see the dynamics, right, and how God and what God does to choose his people. But as you go on to the story, you know, you have Saul, who has the stature, who has the ability, who has the looks, disobeyed God, ended up getting disqualified as a leader. So fast forward, and as I get into the topic, we see that there's a transition, there's a changing of the guard, where Saul was disqualified, and then now there needs to be a new king that needs to be anointed. And we see that when David was in the field, right, his father Jesse, we know this story. Samuel went to the house. His father Jesse said, hey, listen, I have this same setup. I got the handsome, I got the tall in stature, I got those who on paper has the ability to be king, who has the looks of being a king. And for most of you may feel like you're not worthy to be a king. You may not feel like you're not worthy to be a queen. You may feel like you're not worthy to get that promotion. You may feel that you're not worthy to step into that promotion. Or you may not even feel worthy of the money that's coming in your direction in 2019. But I'm here to tell you that God does not call the qualified. God qualifies the call. Did you hear me? God does not call the qualified, but he qualifies the call. Right? I'm going to be talking about tonight 3 things that stood out the most to me about David's leadership. 3 things that stood out the most to me about David's leadership. When you look at the story between them transitioning of leadership when Saul was disqualified, and you understand that David was now qualified, or he was now anointed, you got to understand that it was 7 times that Jesse brought his son, say, okay, well, I have 7 children. These are the guys that I feel that are best fit for the role. God told Samuel no every single time, right? Then Samuel said, are these all your children? Because I don't sense that I know God has sent me here. I know that this is the place where God has sent me, but I don't feel that the children that you presented to me is qualified for it. So you see in this example that those who have the ability, those who have the paperwork, those who may have the degree, those who may be qualified in man's eyes, was not even called. Did you hear me? But then Jesse said, oh, I have one in the field. Yeah, but he doesn't qualify. But Samuel said, no, listen, we won't sit down until we call that brother forward. So Samuel says, okay, listen, I see this young brother who's ready, right, who has bright eyes, who's good looking. He may not fit the stature, but it's something about his character. Did you hear me? God in this season, he's not looking for the stature. He's looking for character. Did you hear me? He's not looking for stature. He's not looking for just the degree. He's not looking just for the looks. He's not looking for who is qualified. He is looking for those who have the heart. Did you hear me? He's looking for those who have the heart. He's looking for those who have the character. He's looking for those, right, who's going to be nice to nasty people. He's looking for those who have the mentality of servanthood. He is looking for those who's willing to serve with excellence. Did you hear me just now? Listen, in this season, think it not strange when you fall into diverse temptation, knowing that the trying of your faith work of patience. I know it seems rough right now. I know you're getting overlooked right now. I know you feel that you deserve that promotion. I know you feel that you deserve that next level, but stay the course, stay the process, because one of the key signs, right? One of the key things that qualified David for him stepping into his beginnings of his kingship was that he wasn't looking for leadership. He wasn't looking for the shine. He wasn't looking to be on a stage, because stages are to be performed on, but platforms are for impact. Did you hear me? Stages, right? Stages are meant to be performed on, but a platform is for impact. See, David was doing the work, right? David was doing the work. He was already exemplifying leadership without looking for the shine. One of the key signs out of the 3 things that we're going to talk about tonight right? The three things that made David stuck out as a leader and as an effective leader, number one, was true leaders declare themselves without making an announcement. Did you hear me? True leaders declare themselves without making an announcement. Please share this broadcast. Please share it, okay? True leaders declare themselves without making an announcement. Excuse me one moment. That's better. But true leaders declare themselves without making an announcement. That means that you're serving without the camera. That means that you're serving without the recognition. That means that you're serving, when it doesn't look pretty. That means that you're serving when sometimes you don't get back. That means that you're giving when sometimes you don't expect it back. That means that you're serving with excellence, when nobody's looking. That goes back to that passage that I was reading the other day, where it says that when you do something privately, God will bless you openly. When you do something privately, God will bless you openly. The second thing, family, not all the time God looks at the most qualified. We talked about that earlier. He never calls the qualified, but he qualifies the called. Number three, he looks at the heart. He looks at the heart. See, there was a few things that David did during his process. See, he was in his seed season, but he was already moving and he was already in the form of his process. And if you're looking to be an effective leader in this season, try not to be like Saul. Try not to be like the gentleman who has the looks, who has the stature. Try not to focus on the exterior things, because there is a passage in here, and I want to turn to it. I think it's 1 Samuel. I believe it's 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel. Here it is. 1 Samuel 16, verse 7. All right. Babe, put that down. Keontae, put that down. 1 Samuel 16, verse 7. I want you guys to check this out at your own time. But it says, "But the Lord said to Samuel, do not look at his appearance or at his physical stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord does not see as man sees. For man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." The Lord looks at the heart. So as you see, if you want to be an effective leader, you need to do a heart check. You need to do a heart check. That means that, how's your heart, man? I can tell you in 2018, 2019, God has been testing, my heart. God has been testing, my heart with people, right? He will test you. Listen, how can you be trusted unless you have been tested? Listen, how can you be authentic without going through a testing process? One of the key signs that you are about to step into your kingship is that there will be unusual warfare that surrounds your life. There will be unusual warfare that surrounds your life. If there's unusual things popping off in your life, I'm talking about strange relationships, dismantling. I'm talking about strange things going on in your life that you feel that shouldn't be happening. You've been sowing seeds of encouragement. You've been out there serving. You've been out there doing the right thing, but it just seems like you have been under attack. You have been under siege, but I'm here to tell you that you're not under anything. God is rising you above every circumstance. God is raising you above every set of issues that you're dealing with right now. You may feel that you're under attack, but God is saying that he's over every attack of the enemy. The Lord says that he's raising the standards against every flood of the enemy. That is including that every sickness that you may be dealing with. That is including that every challenge that you're dealing with. That is including everything. And the Bible also says that we have things that are under our feet. So in this season, I need you to declare every set of circumstances, every set of challenges to be under your feet, right? So if you're stepping into a role of leadership and you're facing opposition at your workplace, declare it that it's under your feet. What does that look like? One of the things that I like about when I read the word, I want to see if I can put this thing in practicality, right? I want to see if I can apply this into my life. So if you're on your workplace, what does putting the things under your feet look like? I'm glad you asked, all right? What it looks like is when you're able to stand in the midst of criticism, when you're willing to stand and be at peace when you're in the midst of a storm. When you are willing to remain who you are, when people want to push your buttons and pull you out of your character. When you're willing to be nice to nasty people, that's what putting it and remaining those things and putting those things under your feet. If you want to know, that's Luke 10:19. God has given us the power and authority to tread upon serpents and scorpions and over all the things of the enemy, right? Over all the powers of the enemy. Put that down. That's Luke 10:19, right? So what does it look like? If you are trying to step into business and people are not buying into your vision, they're not buying into your idea, they feel that you are a failure. They're telling you that you're going to be just like your dad. They're telling you that you don't have the credentials to be successful. They're telling you that you don't know how to read. They're telling you that you don't know what it looks like to be successful. You don't have an example. Your father wasn't successful. Your grandfather wasn't successful. But I'm here to tell you what it looks like when you put those types of words under your feet. You continue to press. You continue to go forward. You continue to dream. You continue to put action to your dream. You continue to plan. You continue to do. You continue to review, plan, do, and review. You continue to gain relationships that's going to help you get to the next level. Surviving Saul's leadership. Hit the share button. Hit the share button. Put it in your timeline, right? Messenger someone this message, because I believe this is a message for inspiration. So if you look at the life of David, David was relentless, but David served with excellence. And once he was anointed, when Samuel ended up pouring the oil on David's head, he didn't go out there immediately. See, I know in most cases we want this thing to be microwaved. We want this thing, we want this thing to happen just like that. We want this thing to be immediate. In most cases, when you have been called, here it is, when you have been called, it's not going to happen right away because there is a process that needs to happen. There's a process that needs to happen. There's character that needs to be developed before reaching that destination, or I should say that place, right, called purpose. There's a process that happens. I remember a story of a gentleman that told me, hey, listen, back in the day, my first goal was to make $100,000, Adrian. And I said, okay, man, that's a great goal. He said, you would think that once I got the $100,000 that I was satisfied. But he said, what was more fun was who I was becoming. Catch me, who I was becoming on the way to getting to $100,000. That means that you have to become a different version of yourself before you get to the destination. We can't expect to be and remain the same individual. Catch me. We can't expect to remain the same person and expect a different result. The person who we are today is a reflection of the decisions that we made in the past. Did you hear me? The person that we are today is a reflection of who we and the decision that we made from the past. So that means that there's new decisions that could be made. That means that there are new choices that could be made. That means that there's new relationships that needs to be made. That means that there's new opportunities that needs to be made, right? So one of my things tonight is that if you're looking for leadership, if you're looking to go to another level as it pertains to your growth process, be patient. Understand when David was anointed, it didn't happen overnight. He had to serve under Saul. And next week you don't want to miss it because the next piece of this is when he was anointed. What was the next step for him? He ended up going and fighting on Goliath and fighting his fears, serving with the spirit of excellence. Saul obviously became jealous. Saul then became his enemy. But David had a spirit of humility. David executed with humility, and the Bible says that humble yourself under the mighty hand of God, and he will exalt you in what time? He will exalt you in due time. It wasn't his time. It wasn't David's time. It wasn't Saul's time, but it was God's time in due time. So I know most of you, you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting and you're doing. You feel like you're doing the right thing and you're continuously sowing the seeds. You're continuously giving, but it may not be working the way you feel that it's working, but it's in due time that he will exalt you. But you must adapt and you must continue to have a spirit of humility, because that's one thing that disqualified Saul. That's one thing that disqualified him from stepping into his full destiny, because we understand how it ended. He ended up falling on his own sword. He ended up falling on his own sword. We know that pride comes before a fall. So remain humble, right? Remain humble. Check your heart. Make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. Make sure that you have the right motives, right? Why am I going for this promotion? Why am I going for this passion, this dream, this vision? Am I there to get famous? Am I there to get the spotlight? Those are signs. Those are not realistic. Those are not characteristics of a Davidic leadership. That's the terminology I like to use when it comes down to studying the life of David, as he was one of God's top leaders in the Bible. Davidic leadership. Davidic leadership. Leadership of David. All right. Listen, I want to end this tonight with you being great, with you believing in yourself, with you checking your heart to make sure that your motives are correct, with you making sure that you continue to show that love. You know what time it is. We're here to do three things: uplift, educate, and elevate. Let's go.